I'll open the April 25th, 2018 Freetown Police Building Project Committee meeting and call it to order. It is 6:41-ish. 5:41-ish. I wish it was 6:41-ish. Sorry. I love you, Andy, but...
What if we were still meeting at that time?
Yeah, no.
We're gonna be quick, we're gonna be quick here.
No, I'm just kidding. It's all yours, Taylor and
Okay.
Andy.
Yeah, we're going to bounce back and forth a little bit here, but we're here to give you an update on our estimate that came in, that CGA had completed. This is a update to the schematic estimate that we were first working with. And then we also have an updated schedule that CGA has put together, and kind of want to talk next steps and kind of where we go from here, and that's the plan tonight. So I'm going to let Andy kick it off, and he's going to explain how we got to the number that we're at and how the different floor areas make up that number.
So, I want to make sure that everybody has a true understanding of square footage on this project, because it's not straightforward. The ground level is very straightforward, but as we get to the second level, what we're trying to do there with the unfinished space and the attic level gets a little complicated, so I've simplified it in this package for you, and I'll run you through this package and review area and square footages, how we started, how we got here, and then we'll get into the estimate. Okay, so this first page in your handout is the ground level space diagram. Has two different hatches on it. So these diagrams also speak to efficiencies, because I've hatched the program space differently than the circulation spaces. So it gives you an idea of how efficient the floor plan is at the same time. So this double hatch here, we have a double hatch and a single hatch. The double hatch is program spaces. When I talk about program spaces, those are spaces taken directly from our approved program from July, I believe it was around 14, which was right at 16,000 square feet. That's what I started with way back when, the approved program. So anything on this first floor with the double hatch is from the program space, and anything with a single hatch or one line not crossed is circulation area. So the total gross square footage of this first floor plan is 12,993, and it hasn't changed in forever. That's made up of 11,505 square feet of program space directly off that sheet, and 1,488 square feet of circulation space. That would be the kind of space that gets added with the grossing factor in that original program. So the circulation area is 12% of our first floor plan, which is not bad at all. The dotted outline is the optional cruiser port, which is 1,640 square feet. This one's easy. Does anybody have any questions about the first one as we look at it? Okay, let's move to the attic level. So the attic level, we add a couple more hatches. The program space area, again, is a double hatch, just like it was before. Circulation is a single, like we had before. But now, we also have the auxiliary area, which, is the area for, miscellaneous vehicle storage, impound vehicle storage, things like that. That's also a single hatch, but going in the opposite direction of the circulation hatch. Here you can see the difference there. It's kind of making a herringbone pattern. This long corridor being circulation, this being the auxiliary. Then I separated the undeveloped areas into two different hatches. One being full height, unfinished, undeveloped. The other one being sloped, unfinished, undeveloped, because it's in an attic coming up. The cross hatch, which looks like dots here or stars, we'll call it the star hatch. That's the sloped area, unfinished. And this closely spaced candy stripe hatch represents the full height, undeveloped. So what stands out right away is this double hatch, the tighter hatch, which is the program spaces, which come, then you can see the circulation spaces serving them. Auxiliary, sloped, unfinished, full height unfinished. Now, the program space on this second floor is 3,282 square feet, okay? The circulation area is 750 square feet, which represents about 6% of this gross square footage up there. The reason that's so low is because you got a lot of unfinished space. The auxiliary area is 1,030 square feet. The full height storage area is 3,586 square feet, or 29% of the gross of the second floor. And the sloped storage area is 4,046 square feet, 31% of the gross. That gives a gross on the second floor of 2,535 square feet. That's just the whole outside sloped areas and everything.
12,000, you said too.
12,000.
Yeah.
Then I did a total for you down here to make it easy to understand and to make it easier to relate to the original program. So to relate what I've done to our original program, or space needs assessment we called it, was on the first area, I guess my email's gonna show up. It's on Wi-Fi here. Advanced Plus. So the gross, taken from the, it's my personal email too.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, we're waiting in anticipation now for what's coming next.
Dan, I hope that one you sent me earlier doesn't come up. So, totaling,
Film, right?
totaling the area so we can relate it to that 16,000, we got 12,993. That simply comes from the ground level, which is really all program space. Up here, we have the 3,282 gross program space and the 758 circulation area. If you take those and total them, it comes out to 17,000 square feet. That's basically 17,000 square feet of finished space, okay? Now, that's 1,000 square feet over the program area, mostly because of the stairway and some storage and corridor area to get out towards the auxiliary. So I guess my point is that the program space in this building is almost dead nuts to that 16,000. I followed closer to that. And then it grows due to the auxiliary and the slope areas. So I hope this helps to give you an understanding of the program and how I use the attic and whatnot. Any questions on that?
The reason we felt it would be important to go through that, when you see the estimate, it's based off, 26,000 square feet. And it can be misleading, because it's not really a 26, I mean, it is, but it isn't. A lot of that space you're getting at a better cost.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be a challenge for us to communicate, because in the PowerPoint that I have, I've looked at a number of other stations and the square footage, which is not 26,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would list finished spaces.
You show 17,000 as square footage, because that's your usable space.
Yeah.
That's not your gross space.
All right. And the rest is really there because of your overbuild and your roof lines. And that's, so when you see that square footage number, it looks low, the overall cost per square foot. But it's really, a genesis of having a price for your 17,000 square feet at like 300 or 350, and those overbuild areas are like 200 a square foot. So that's where it kind of brings the number down, but we'll go through that.
Any questions? So this is in your handout. This is a summary sheet of the design development estimate. Flip over to that. So this is one summary sheet out of a packet of 34 sheets. I think, if you're interested, we could, I could circulate it as a group email, that we could each look at on our own time. Has everything in there. So, looking at the numbers, starting at the top, the building is $6,306,542. $6,306,542 for the building. The site is the site work is $1,622,964 for a trade sub-cost total of $7,929,506. At the DD level, 7.5% design and pricing contingency is carried. That's another $594,700, bringing the total trade cost value after that 7.5% contingency to $8,524,200. See if I can see it better here.
$6.
$6, yeah, I can see it better up here, and these lights on, I don't know if it's,
To the left,
we're out here.
right there.
Yeah. Okay, then then the mock-ups. On the, so now these are the mock-ups that would go towards the trade cost total. The general conditions and project requirements, we're planning on a 16-month project. So the general conditions associated with the contractor would be $40,000 a month, or $640,000. The insurance, which is calculated at 1.25% of the price, that would bring it to $9,164,206. Performance and payment bonds. The permit fee, which we would hope would be waived, and the fee, the 3% fee, is the GC's profit. So that brings the estimated construction cost subtotal to $9,594,806. And a line item for escalation, because it would start late fall of 2018, would be $9,752,106. Below that is the alternates. The cruiser port at 1,600 square feet is $150,000. The auxiliary building, I've still developed that, would be a 12,000 separate, 1,200 square foot building, separate from this building. If we decided not to put the auxiliary up in the attic area, would be $310,000. And PV solar system on the roof, I believe that's a 2,400 square foot system, not shown here, but that would be another $170,000, which probably wouldn't be done at this time. So that $9,752,106 is the estimated construction cost subtotal after design development.
And that's important to note that it's roughly only $250,000 higher than our schematic estimate. So it's right around that same number that we've been floating around since October of 2017. And the pricing that you can account for those dollars is a much more complete set the estimator has to go through. He's not making so many, or he or she is not making so many assumptions. They're going through that estimate in detail, so it's a much better detailed estimate.
Some figures went down. So
Yeah,
the
some
site
went
costs
down, some went up.
Some went up, specifically the finishes and things as such high-density storage units. That brought the finishes up.
Our site work number came down.
Site work came down.
I can go through a few highlighted areas. So it's like the masonry number went down by about 75,000 from the schematics. The building envelope, roofing and things like that went up by about $68,000. And there's other smaller incidental ones. As Andy mentioned, the large one was the finishes went up by $154,000. And the mechanical systems, including fire protection, plumbing, HVAC, all went up. That went up to a total of $156,000, which most of that was in the plumbing, believe it or not. Only $10,000 went up in the HVAC, but the plumbing went up by $90,000 and fire protection by $57,000. The electrical also went up to $182,000. But then you have like things like this where the exterior improvements, which includes paving, planting, things like that, that went down $138,000. So you take it all in, the site number went down by about $115,000, and the building number went up by about $572,000. So, you know, when you take into account when you take out the design pricing and things of that nature, it shakes out to be, as Kayla mentioned, about $250,000 difference from SD to DD.
In the site work number, does that include finished post-construction, planting, seeding, or is that still construction finish?
Oh, everything like that is in there.
Yep, the seating,
Yes.
finished grading.
The plants, that's in there.
Yep.
And did you carry a well system, or did you carry, you go with the well system?
Well, we have the well system, like
In this
everything,
quote.
everything is based on the well, but the well itself is not in there. That would be in the project cost, correct? That's how we carried it last time.
No, we don't have a,
For that.
oh, I'm sorry, we do have a water well, yeah.
So, the water line out to the well is in there, but this
Just the
estimate
well itself.
stops at the well.
That's
Yeah,
right.
The well
and we have the
itself.
well itself, there's a 50 grand for that.
So they won't change by 50,000, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, we carry $9,000 for the conduit out to it, and the handholds, like another $7,500 for the wellhead service. So that's in there for the electrical.
And the fire pump, the tank, all that stuff?
Yeah, exactly. We
This
carry the
is
other numbers
based
for the
on a
water.
well fire suppression system.
Thank you.
Is this number surprising?
Well,
to anybody?
after my meeting this afternoon and listening to the numbers that people were throwing out, they might like this. They were saying 20,000, 15,000.
Yeah?
Oh, oh, million?
20 million, sorry, 20 million, 15 million, yeah, those numbers are out there right now for the people at the coffee shop at Fox.
Well, keep
Oh,
in mind
those
that
were the
this
way they
is,
get that.
these are the hard cost
Yeah,
numbers.
this-
There's other numbers, put another 25% on top of that, that would be the soft costs.
So I
So,
did,
tough to get up there.
I did update the draft overall budget. And
Oh, we get one.
Oh, now we're talking.
so your soft costs are usually in the range of 20 to 25% of your construction costs. And that's really where these numbers fall out, your owner's development costs. These are the same owner's development costs I took from our schematic estimate that we talked about before. So the number that we looked at back in April, total construction costs, including soft costs, was 12.8 million. This is 13.1. So really the only change has really been that construction number. I haven't had to adjust the owner's development costs yet. I do want to go back through these because we did have a little, the building did grow a little bit. I want to go back through and make sure I'm comfortable with all these numbers. There might be, additional charges for any consultants in case the building has grown. So what I want to do is go through, but this is pretty much, a good ballpark to know where your number's going to come in. I think there is quite a few allowances CGA has in this, Dan, that
Yeah.
could probably come out. So I think there's going to be some numbers coming down and some going up, or some coming out and some going in. But I think this is probably a really good number ballpark-wise that you're at right now. This is putting the elevator into, if you look at line 44, that's not in the estimate this time. And we still don't know if that's needed or not. We have to go to the board for that, architectural board for that. Now, if you're looking to bring this number down, the first place you start is the building itself. those soft costs are pretty much gonna remain consistent at that 20% level. So that's where we talked earlier about some different strategies, if we need to look at bringing that cost down. So we kind of wanted to get a feel of what the committee was thinking tonight in terms of this cost and how we go forward from here.
One thing we would really wanna make sure that we don't make the mistake that we made before when we do, if we have to make cuts and then have something that's not adequate. I mean, and that's what happened with the present. They had to keep
Yeah.
chipping away at it, and it really wasn't adequate. And I mean, after all this time of trying to make sure that we're taking care of everything, we know, maybe something, but we have to,
Yeah.
we'd want people to feel that this time we got it right.
Well, we talked, it's
You know?
funny, we talked, CJA and us talked, we wrote an hour today on the phone, and that's one of the things we went over. If you remember, one time we were looking at like a 13,000 square foot building versus the 17 that we're looking at now, and, the committee made the decision, let's not cut now, let's
Wait.
Yeah.
let's go forward with this and see, what the price comes out at. So that's, where we are now.
And the quality of the materials that they used are so important,
Absolutely.
that we don't, if we have to, something small, just be sure that it's, we don't want it to be referred to ever as a Pizza Hut,
Absolutely.
And a big part of this design is really planning for your future too, where it's giving you opportunity to grow into the station with the extra space that you have up top, and it's kind of being forward thinking when it comes to that, to that design. But you also need to be careful about how far forward you want to go with it. So.
Yeah.
That's the thing, that extra, 7,000 square feet.
Right.
Even though you're not paying as much for it, there's still a cost to it. That number's definitely showing up in the budget.
But if we sell the fact that, the size we're getting and the availability for future, for the future, there will be space,
Mm-hmm.
So some of the stuff, didn't we pay with the last part of it, like the, in phase one? Weren't some of these costs paid for in phase one?
Probably, but they're still part of the overall budget, right? Or which items are you talking about, Lisa? Which line item number?
Like the geotechnical engineering, that we did, some of that was paid out of the 750, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so that's an allowance in CGA's contract, so we probably won't have to pay that.
Right, so there are, like, some of these things we paid out of the 750, so when.
Meaning out of a different bucket?
So now we're going into phase two, which now we would need out of a different, yes, because there's still some money left in the 750. So some of these costs,
Can
I
be
don't wanna,
offset.
can be offset, I don't wanna.
You're not
Oh, I
going
see what you're saying.
13.1 because you already spent
You already
750
spent-
out of this
right,
13.1.
Exactly.
Right,
So that's
okay.
what- That's what I'm
Correct.
So
saying.
you
It needs to be
closer to
reconciled.
12,
Yes.
12.2 then.
Yeah.
So it's like double dipping right now.
Yeah, and I don't wanna speak for any numbers that I heard, but there was money before that I guess was going towards this?
So money before from, that we put away for the surveying of the land, so some of that was paid for Kelly, and then we had to come back, so, but we'll have to figure that out. But also the 750,000 was also put aside, so I think some of these costs might be out of phase one, and now we're going into phase two, which would be for the debt.
Correct, but wasn't there even on, forget about the 750, I thought there was there other funds available too?
I-
We have stabilization funds that we're going to use.
Oh, yeah,
Capital
yeah.
stabilization.
So
offset.
we're gonna offset, what we go forward for in debt exclusion, we're gonna be offsetting that from capital stabilization and from, some of, new growth, we're gonna move some numbers
Okay.
around, from within our budget to offset this, so this isn't what we're gonna go for. forward
Yeah,
for
that's
debt
what I was looking for, I didn't know
Yeah.
how much you had, but
Yeah.
I knew that
That
there
would
was
be
some
good. We
talk
said
about that, yeah.
Didn't we say about two, yeah.
It'll depend too on what our levy, excess levy is this year after
Mhm.
shakes out. So if we go for the October-ish meeting, we should know those numbers by then.
Yeah, so we have like about 2 million
Yeah.
that we're gonna take off the top.
Okay. I knew it was around there,
I didn't
wanna say it out loud.
I wanted to say, it might even be 2.5,
It
but,
might be more than that, yeah.
yeah, I think it was closer to 2.5. So So yes, some of these numbers can be reconciled from the first phase, and then some of that, we'll take off the 2.5, and then that's closer to what we need to be at for a debt station.
Is there a certain number you're trying to hit for that?
A marketable number.
Yeah.
Okay,
Saleable.
I guess what we need to do is think, what did Westport go for, what did, because they're going, that's what they're gonna do, well, so-and-so built one,
It's,
Well,
Square
Westport would be a
feet.
good example, because they did it wrong the first time and had to go back and sold it
Yeah.
to the town.
Yeah.
so we,
So,
Same location.
And it costed more money the second time around.
I mean, what the, that will, they're going to do that, I mean,
And what is, what's Lakeville's?
Lakeville's, they're completely different buildings, but Lakeville is a 12,000 square foot building and a 5,000 square foot outbuilding. And their estimate for both of those was 6.4 million, and we got a bid in at 5.5 million. So
Is that project or construction?
that was construction.
So another 25% on that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that just lowers everything though.
Yeah, well, we're seeing, Dartmouth just went out and they came in about $1 million under. We're seeing good bidding right now on the streets.
wow.
So it's definitely something positive. We're seeing things shift. But it's tough. I mean, Lakeville is a much different building. The site is, ready to go. There's nothing there. It's a pretty straightforward building. They fast-tracked that. They wanted the building Marion had, so the design happened quickly. But we can certainly do a comparison,
No,
but it's tough to do.
yeah.
But that's what people, it's a lot about
We've got to be
optics and
prepared
perception.
with that, because you know that,
Sure, it's something that I can
That's,
speak to very easily, how different the buildings are.
I think the site prep is, what you talked about, is a serious
Oh, yeah.
difference between
Huge difference.
a flat area and this kind of terrain.
$1 million difference, you look out 1.5 million
Yep.
for site prep.
Yeah, it's probably close to, 900,000 to $1 million difference.
Just on the site alone.
Yeah.
Just like,
Really?
We're slab on grade, we're just cutting trees and going.
Now, they are adding a water main, correct?
They are, yes.
That's extraneous from,
Separate, yeah. It's part of the project, but it's
Right,
separate,
right.
yeah.
So it's not being added to that total cost.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not part of that total building cost. It's
Whereas
part of
they
their
have a
overall
well.
cost. Yeah. And that was around 200,000. for the salt plant.
What's your thoughts, guys? Al?
It's something you could sit on for a week too. We don't have to,
Right.
in a perfect world, I guess CGA is looking to go into construction documents.
Right.
That's the next phase of the schedule is, they get approval to move forward and we, start putting together construction documents and get this out on the street for bidding.
It's just that it's much harder to make changes while we're moving forward in construction documents.
Yeah.
Because we're in production mode to get
Right.
this thing ready to go out for bid. So if there's still a level of uncomfort at this stage with the numbers or with anything, then we would like to know that before.
Well, I think that some of these numbers you both need to review, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's still some question on that, and then, I think, offsetting this by the 2.5, I don't know, maybe it's, you're looking now at, a 10.1 maybe,
Mhm.
which I think is more doable than the 13.
I think a long time ago, you always said somewhere around 10. I don't think, we never had a budget number that we were building to. We were more, or, CGA was designing to the program more than trying to build to a number, which is, really the way you'd like to do it. When you start trying to build to a number, you carve things out.
What do you got, Charlie? You got that little smirk going.
Not really, not much. The only question I would have is, do we want to reduce the size of the community room? That's the only thing that really, I feel, if there's any wiggle room.
Right. that save? Not a lot.
Depends on how much reduced, but
So we're at,
you're at 75 seats right now?
yeah, we're at 1,300 and some change. But other stations I've seen at half
Yeah.
that size. So, you know, if you just wanted to go rough numbers, cut that in half, say 700 square feet,
Yeah.
700 square feet times,
Save $200,000. Cut it.
and you might not, because it might not reduce the HVAC as much as a total square footage. cut.
That's true.
So that'd be the most.
The only other area that we were,
200,000.
Right?
Plus, you're looking at what we can get from it also, if we can keep it.
Exactly.
You know, we've got, it's a community thing, we can also sponsor classes where we can get a little income out of it for the town and us and training.
You're cutting like 2% of the project,
Yeah.
money out of the project.
That's right,
When you're doing any.
that's
Where
right.
we're playing,
So people will ask, why didn't we go with just a one level building, one floor? Do you have, I'm sure you both have answers to that, as far as project cost.
Yeah, so, you know, the site is very conducive to adding a second level, where we could get a larger program that will take us further into the future very efficiently by taking advantage of the grade. And that's the quickest answer. So this was, we started off with an assessment need, you know, of what a town like this could be 20, 30 years in the future. We designed to that program, and just taking advantage of the site, being able to drive up, was the most efficient way to do that. So it's a forward-thinking plan where, you know, you're not gonna run out of storage. You could build out another office for next to nothing, whenever you needed it. And it's more about future thinking, so you're not back in front of the voters in another 10 or 15 years, you know, for an addition or anything else.
Yeah, I think the site too, you know, we know it has its challenges. Right now on the second floor, we have program space. If you took that and you moved that down,
Right.
we're impacting that site even more. You know, that site number is gonna go up. And what- you know,
Okay.
your overall building might come down, but your site number goes up. And
Yeah.
so I think, yeah, so I think overall, you're getting, I think the most cost-effective way was going 2 stories.
And how about for also for future use of the site in general, because you have other plans later on down the road.
Yeah, you start eating
We
up.
spread out, we're eating out the square footage and affecting the weld and
Sure.
and the whole other stuff.
That apartment building.
small.
Artist colony.
Trailer park.
Do we know what the number would be if we use the same program space on a single floor versus what it is doing the second floor? I know it's cheaper to go up, but are we almost getting the extra bonus room space for the same price?
So you would have to extend that number out. I would say that our square footage would edge up towards $400 a square foot on one level, and then you'd have to throw the auxiliary building in again for about 400,000. So it'd be that, so what was it, 3,000 from memory? 3,000, oh, plus the circulation, you know, almost another 5,000 on that first level. If I can do that in my head quick, 5,000 times 400
Or $2 million?
plus the 400, so about 2.4.
2.4.
And then you'd have to find out what you'd
Plus
save.
the site cost, yeah.
Plus like, yeah. So in my,
I think you're getting it almost,
it's throwing, that's kind of about the number I'm
Yeah.
looking at. So you're getting a future expansion for the same price of doing one floor at what we need for program space.
yeah.
And that's significant, that's 2.4 is almost 25% of the project, well, of 10 million. Not the 13, but the 10.
Yeah. The other thing we threw out there too was taking that auxiliary bay that you drive up to behind off completely and just moving that to a separate standalone building, auxiliary building. And then you can bid that completely separately as an alternate. Now, I know it's space you guys need, it's something, just to bring it up, Lakeville just did, they had their PD and then they had the auxiliary building, they made their auxiliary building a complete alternate. So if the money didn't come in, they were gonna wait and hold off on it and build the PD, the money came in, quite good, so they're able to go full. But it is a way to bring that number down, and if you can do it, you do it, if not, you don't. But that is something we talked about, because that would eliminate the road out back, and, it would cut down on your site costs a bit, and it would cut down on that square footage.
And you'd be hedging your bets that you get low bids
Yeah.
to be able to put the alternate back in with an auxiliary building standalone, rather than having it a drive-up.
And that's why you have the alternates, it kind of gives some districts opportunity to dial something back if they have to, but.
So we lower the original cost
Right.
of the station build-out by taking the auxiliary off the second floor, removing that road. At that point, we'd have to put the elevator in, because you wouldn't now not access up the back no matter what. That would get taken off the building, and then you'd have the auxiliary as an alternate. So the base building would be less money.
How much? Ballpark.
Probably about the cost of the auxiliary building,
All right.
So,
$100,000.
I think, you know
Yeah,
what, we
You
really
gotta go with
want
what
to
we
do
can
this with
cite.
the Fine Tooth Home, that this is the building that we like and we think is the most beneficial for the town. I think that we went back to the drawing board and said, let's do a one level building, and then we're like, no, this doesn't make sense to us, so, or let's lower the roof, or let's do this. And I think that at the end of the day, everything that we're throwing out there brings us right back to where we are.
We looked at those costs too, we can go back and pull those up, but Andy, you did an analysis of the cost, rough schematic cost of 1-story versus 2-story.
yes.
I know you did that, so.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to have that for town meeting, because there are gonna be people that are gonna ask that question.
And I mean, we can get away without the elevator initially, so, right, can we?
We're still looking
With-
at.
Yeah,
If we have that
Yeah.
exempted, so.
We have in the past on likewise buildings.
That second floor currently doesn't have to be ADA. We can be non-public space,
Exactly.
and you have a walkout. So you should be able to get an exemption for
Yeah,
an ADA exemption.
That's what we're thinking.
but if we didn't have this drive-up, we would.
It'd still not be public space.
Yeah.
It would still be private space, not private space, but it would be office space only, wouldn't be access to the public.
If we did get rid of the drive-up and the walk-in, though, we'd have to add a second stairwell,
Stairwell,
because that gives us our second means of
Second egress.
egress. Would it be that close?
which would probably go where that elevator shaft area is. Didn't you
No, because
design
that'd be too close to the elevator.
Be at the end of the hall, maybe.
If you did put the elevator in, I mean,
There's a stairwell right next to the elevator.
Yeah, so that's
So
one.
that's all there is there, one,
The
no.
walkout's
Yeah.
2. If we didn't put one in, we'd have to put one in, maybe over near the Sally Port.
I was thinking your original design, you had one by the Sally Port, a way to get out in your original design.
No. Well, yeah.
Okay. And there's our,
Yes.
these two.
Yeah, all the consultants are in there.
All right. All right. So what's everyone do?
I think we have time to sell this.
Here's the motion.
Make a motion, we try and stick with this plan
Second.
and get all the figures.
So we wanna still work with the figure, we still want them to go and
Work with the figures.
redo these figures.
That's right.
We'll take the 2.5 from capital stabilization to offset this cost.
We'll figure out funding.
Right, well, but we're looking at 2.5, just so everybody's aware, that's around what we're gonna be looking at.
Yeah, if you could let me know what you haven't spent out of that 750
Well,
and what is coming to the table, and then I can make that adjustment.
okay.
You know, what has to be adjusted here, so we'll really know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
All right.
Aye. You know what? It's just the month to get Chris by. We're just gonna go all
So
in.
this comes up in the end of the
We're gonna go all
summer.
in.
So do you need to make a vote to approve, I think you should make a vote to approve them to go into construction documents.
If you're prepared to do that.
Yeah.
If you're prepared to allow us to authorize us to go forward based on this current design, or if you need more.
Or do you wanna
information.
wait until we've, I mean, flush
So if you
everything
go
out,
for-
or?
But isn't the construction phase of it in the next portion of where you're gonna get paid from?
Construction document phase.
Okay.
We need to, the plan would be to go into the next phase of construction documents, developing it, going out to bid, procuring your contractor, and then delivering to the town meeting the actual bid cost.
Yeah.
That's what I thought
I thought that's pretty much what you guys
Approach
just
was
voted
Yeah,
on.
You wanted to go to the voters with the hard numbers on the
definitely
Yeah,
contract.
and our contract actually does take us through construction document phase and
That's what I
through
wanted to
bid
make sure.
phase,
Okay.
but not through construction administration.
Make sure, okay,
Right.
that, I just wanna make sure of that.
And that's gonna eat up some of that 750, because that's what
Right.
750's for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because our fees were associated
Right.
with that first
Your fees
budget.
are phased though, right? This was the first phase of your fees, then the construction document fees is second.
Yeah,
second.
I think our contract was broken down with phase one, phase two. Phase one was getting it out to bid, and then phase two, should everything be approved, then we're moving forward into
I just
phase-
don't wanna shortchange anybody.
Yeah, you have
You
construction
or
in
you.
this budget.
Oh, it's in our budget,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't be authorized, our contract takes us up
Correct.
through.
Up to.
Our
You know
current
what I mean?
contract takes us
I don't
up
wanna
to
use the
that.
full 750,
Right.
and then all of a sudden have to go back to the townspeople and say, oh, and by the way,
No,
even though we're
no.
not going forward, we need to pay them. Like, I wanna make sure that we have the money.
Well, and that was a good clarification that Taylor just made. Our fee, our total fee is in the total budget. It's not like there's anything added in, it's just that it wouldn't get spent if you guys didn't move forward. But taking it to the next phase, in order to go out to bid, we have to.
Yeah, I
begin
just
to
wanna
move
make sure
forward.
it's in the 750 that we already have,
Okay.
and it sounds like it is, so we should be all
Should
set.
be.
If you wanna go back and verify, that's fine.
Mhm. Yeah, you go forward. Do you have a
Make the
motion?
motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The chief put a PowerPoint together for outreach that he'd like to do.
We are,
Oh.
I need to
I'd love
step
for
out
you
though, I
to-
need to go.
Okay.
I have very much, I apologize, so,
No worries.
go Bruins, and
Thanks, Dan.
we'll see you later.
I might have to go to that meeting too pretty soon.
I'm sure where that happened. All right.
All right, so started to put this
Thank you.
together, and if it's okay, I'd like to send it over to Andy for him to put in some photos, diagrams, etc. Start out with the history. Original station built in '76, 100,000 of town money, 50,000 of federal money. Total to build that station was 150,000. The town then went in and started eating up some of this with design changes, eliminating basements, office space, cell blocks, etc. At the time we had 9 full-time officers, and now we have 19 full-time personnel. So that's over 100% increase in the full-time personnel. And as you know, we've addressed leaks and mold and all those other things. So if you go to the next slide, Andy. Why do we need a new station? Space, really, that's what it all comes down to. We're shoehorning all of our operations into a footprint that doesn't accommodate what we need to do. Next one. So we don't have any, I mean, the dispatchers have to go into the public hallway to use the restroom. There's no sally port to protect us from running, escaping prisoners, etc. We're always identified with suicide risks by the state when they come in annually to do the cell block inspections. We've got old hardware, the doors are not suicidal compliant, the hardware is not suicidal compliant. We'll see in a minute, evidence storage, we run out of space to store evidence. And of course, we don't have secured doors in a secure system. Next slide, please. More of the list about overcrowding, and we're gonna see that in the slides, the electrical and mechanical room, the lieutenant's office, the IT office, the holding cell / interview room. The janitor's room obviously is gonna be crammed. Sergeant's room is undersized. Halls are used for storage and files. The dispatch area is used for for records. When the station was built, there were no computers that were in general use, but they didn't even build a records room. And the whole system was driven on paper records. Yeah, that's, all right, so that's the punch list of what's missing. I talked about some of that already. As you can see, the locker room is undersized. There's really, the shower facility is being used for storage. We talked about evidence. There's no secure records storage other than the trailer we have out, the container we have out in back. There's no training or meeting room. Let's see, we've already talked about dispatch crowded and bathroom. The lobby area is, everybody squeezed into that. And our current system really can't support a second floor. All right, so
You good with that one?
next, yeah, we saw that. So you're gonna have to fill in that information. That's from another police station's project. Actually, that's the Westport Police Station's information. So we have to put our own in there.
Yep.
Is that the present station? or the
Yeah, I
present?
think it is the present,
Not the new.
the new one, yeah.
That's the new
Here's the
one.
existing, right here.
Yeah.
It's
Okay, oh, okay,
76.
that's why.
That's
okay.
projected.
All right, I know I had it.
So our existing what's the size of our existing station?
17.
3,500 square feet?
Yeah.
Oh, not even that.
It was, I thought it was around 3,000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Then that's the outside of the walls and everything.
Yeah.
No, we don't really have walls, don't we just stack blocks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's
but
go to
you
the
have,
next.
you have to be careful because today, again, the thing was, well, I go to the police station, there's nobody there, so why do they need all that space? So you have to be ready to address that, okay?
There's a list of, you know, fairly recent stations that were constructed and what the total square feet, and the average was 17,332. It's just showing the proposed site in proximity to the elementary school, and of course, it's in the geographic center of town. So the pros of being on Memorial Drive is the town already owns the land, good location to respond to either side of town for emergencies. It fits in with the zoning, reasonable traffic conditions. The cons would be the site itself, the boulders, the needed site work at 1.6 million, and the need for a retaining wall because of the terrain.
It would be smart to add, well,
Yeah. For possible water, issues or some, I don't wanna go that strongly, but I mean, there is a
About possible
possibility.
future water issues.
Right, something like that.
No water access requires a well.
Yeah.
More of the pros and cons. The cons is to build a new station where we are right now, there's inadequate space, and you'd have to relocate our operations into trailers or some other temporary structure.
it would cost money.
The present structure is totally inadequate. Heating,
I don't have that
Heating,
information.
right.
I don't have that information on debt service.
We'll get Jessica to get that for you.
We have a rendering.
That's the Westport Police Station. So we'll have to obviously put our renderings in. Next. Next, please.
Ours looks much better.
Okay, so now we're talking about electrical systems, and we put some photos of what is a common occurrence at the police station, and, you know, run all of some charging systems. Next. More of the same. Next, please. Here's the chief's office, with records.
Looks like
and-
my office.
That's the evidence room.
That's a good one to have.
Yeah, because of the overcrowding, we had to use the shed that's out back. Let's go to the next one. There you go, there's the shed, that's overcrowded as well. As you can see, we've got screened-in areas to protect, under accreditation, you need secured secondary storage, so we have that. And then we're storing people's guns, rifles, there's no climate control out of there. I mean, we try our best to not have things get rusty and moldy, but
You
and
might
much
wanna
more.
edit a little bit what you say about where things, certain things are stored.
Yeah, well, we've got
I don't know.
cameras on that and stuff.
But I don't know how secure that building is, if you got,
You know, one space that was added since schematic was the ammo storage, which was missed in the programming. We added that 2-hour ammo storage room.
Right.
More of the same. So that's the detective and lieutenant's office. And off of that is that small evidence room we previously saw. There's no more room in there. There's only one lieutenant and one detective. Let's see, that's, on the left, that's in the sergeant's room. That's how you get up to storage.
Yeah, those trusses weren't designed for storage, by the way.
You know, wait till you see some of the other photos up there. Next one. So that's the attic.
high insulation.
Next one.
Just a little bit.
On the left, I think that's mold and water. On the right is part of the air conditioning system.
Hey, what did happen to all the insulation?
Yeah, that burnt.
Yeah, there was an electrical fire up there.
Not
It burned
surprised.
itself out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
We've had a couple of
They got a couple of.
Couple of them.
Yeah. So that's the room, the single room we use to store our weapons and ammunition, and also when people come in for their licenses to carry and firearm ID cards, that's where they go in their process.
We also share it with our computer maintenance guy who tries to do all his computer work out of there too. So,
Yeah.
And that's your weapons maintenance in the back.
yeah. That's my tool bench right there with computers on it and everything else.
Nope.
Andy, you got a lot of emails now.
I don't know that one. X that out. Maybe there we go. There it
We can move to the next one.
Yeah.
Another view of the sergeant's room. The 5 sergeants sharing the room. And you have to pass through the sergeant's room to get to the armory and to process people for licenses to carry. So you really can't secure that room at all. Few shots of water leaks. The left is the electrical room. The right is the booking room, and I think the lower one is the attic. Cell block. On the left, that cot, they don't use that system anymore. It's more of a slab so that a detainee can't take his pants off or shirt off and try to wrap it around there, and at the same time around their neck, try to strangle themselves or hang themselves. On the right are cell doors that are not in compliance with suicide prevention. Another thing to point out is whatever the temperature is on the outside of the building, it's the same on the inside of those walls. We've had a couple of situations where we couldn't put detainees in there because they would get hypothermia. That's how bad the temperature was. Lower slide is the hardware. Looks really secure. Next slide. There's our booking room. Of course, there's a pull down to get into that side of the attic. Very small, If you walk through that exit door and then take a quick left, you're out of the building. It's not a confined holding area. And then we got equipment against the wall. See the computer screen there on the right? That's this, you know, obviously that's a hazard for the officers. If you have to wrestle a detainee, that's what you're headed into. Somebody's gonna get hurt. Nothing, no bench. I mean, and nothing's affixed to the floor there, so a detainee could, if unhandcuffed, could simply lift the chair and throw it at you. And we've tried our best to, but there's only so much we can do with it. Next slide. More pictures of the booking room. You gotta go through the booking room to get to the water pump, et cetera. In the winter, we have to leave that door open, otherwise you're looking at frozen pipes. Lower picture is just an example of some computer components. We tried to wrap foam around it to protect the officers or detainees during a struggle. That is the custodian's room, and we also use it for evidence. On the right slide, right behind those two yellow signs, is a refrigerator where blood and other, you know, bios go.
It's got a lock on it.
Yeah, it's got a lock on it. So here's the dispatch center. Originally, it was in office, the dispatch supervisor's office, which is the size of a closet. So we moved the dispatch center out into a bigger area. As you can see, everything's crowded into that. The dispatch area also is a repository for file cabinets and department records. So it's not a very comfortable area to work in because of the overcrowding. Next slide. Some more shots. This is, the left slide is just off of the dispatch area and shows you the dispatch supervisor's room, which is full of records and things. Photo on the right is actually part of the dispatch area with more file cabinets holding, I think, the last year records. The other records are stored in the sergeant's office, and older records are out in a container. Let's go to the next one.
With various temporary heat sources. And
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no climate, yeah,
It's got different types.
yeah.
Nice.
So this is the officer's room, which is also used for evidence processing, cleaning the guns, roll call, meals, etc. And if your meal tastes a little like gun solvent, you know, that's just the way things go.
Adds to the flavor.
Never mind heroin and fentanyl and cocaine and things like that. Next slide, please. More of the officer's room. Somebody was cleaning the firearms when the photo was taken. And on the right, I guess everybody's getting ready to eat before. So everything's crowded in that room as well. This is this room was originally for radios, but we've got police and fire radios in it now. We have the servers for the records, you know, 911 records, police records, dispatch logs, and then we have a 911 tower in there. Overcrowded, and you get a good sense of, on that right slide, of the wiring or what it looks like today. Next. More electrical problems. Next.
Computer data?
What's that?
There we
Is that it?
That's it.
Carlton, you said in '76 there were 9 police officers.
9
You-
full-time police
Okay.
officers.
Do you know what the population was then? You might do a comparison.
I think it was around 4,000 people.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
think to bring in, you know, how many more people are living here,
Yeah, I can get that.
you know,
Sure.
add that to it.
Yeah, I'll put that in there.
Some of that was part of the program that
Yeah,
CJ did.
yeah.
You know,
guys went through that.
that many more households, that many,
Yeah. Let's take a look at that.
So I'll send that off to Andy to add some
Perfect.
information.
National crime statistics, what you're looking at now, different
so that's,
things you're
that
looking
many
at now
more
you
problems
can
that could,
take into
a
effect back
potential,
then.
Oh, yeah.
you know?
And also his towns, it's not just national, because everybody's like, oh, we're so quiet. Yeah, there's a.
Yeah, that's not, that perception is not accurate.
I
I don't know
know,
how
so
we
I think
change
that,
that,
well, I think that
you know.
showing them and telling them that, in the last year, what you've done and how many calls and what kinds
Yeah, we
of
could
calls.
do that.
Yeah, I think that's really important.
I think it's huge. I don't even care about national, I care more about the town.
Yeah, just the nature of police work, how much it's changed
Right,
over the
yeah,
last
yeah.
20 years, 30, 40 years, I should say.
Yeah, then probably go national and then bring it down to local. I think that's a great idea.
Most guys didn't have bulletproof vests in the 70s, now everybody, it's made, it's just, there's so many things that have changed. Look at Charlie, who's young and spry.
But I mean, if you think about, you were dealing with, say if you said you were dealing with 4,000 families in '76 and four, you know, other potential problems and so on, and people, and then what we have today in that same area,
You have defibrillators.
it helps, you know, people with numbers. I think this looks, I gotta tell you, I've been in there and I saw that, you know, we had the tourism. This looks bigger because you're on all
Yeah,
these
it
other
does,
things.
yeah.
It's kind of deceiving looking at this PowerPoint with, but
I
it
know.
looks, I'm saying, if you fit all that, I mean, that looks like a lot of space because you're taking every little corner. So I think about that when you're showing it.
Like your evidence storage, you need to store evidence for how long you need to store evidence for, how many, you know, so as crime, as
Yeah.
there's more crime, there's more people, the more evidence you have to store and how long you have to store for hard copies versus digital
Some of the
copies.
evidence requirements are virtually forever, you know,
Right.
because of, let's say,
And the
daycare or
outsides
something.
of those trailers, I said the insides, but what about the outsides of, this is what we're gonna use?
Yeah, we can add a few.
You know, I mean, I think people,
But I, you know, I was fighting, like, how many slides are we gonna have
Right.
on the PowerPoint, you know?
Yeah, you don't want it to go.
Well,
Cut a
I was
bunch
trying to
of-
get bored at the end.
More
It's-
statistics
it's
than
too-
slides,
It is too
yeah.
long, but I think focus on what is gonna help the Southwest.
Well, I think the main key is to only get one good view of each space,
Yeah,
because if you keep showing it, people might think those are
Yeah.
more and more rooms.
because it looked like
Yeah.
it was bigger, because we were showing every angle of
Mm.
some of the rooms, so choose the worst and use that one.
All right, we can look at it
You
again.
know, or just.
I liked it.
Yeah, because people,
I do too.
It was
But
good.
I-
people go to sleep.
I like the side by side of cleaning ammunition, eating. I
Yeah.
mean, that
Those
is
are
just-
relatable things.
Those, yeah,
The
exactly.
big stains on the floor, the stains on the ceiling, where
Yeah.
we've
Big
had so
mold
many
stain
warnings.
that's gotta stay.
Mold, yeah, like there are
The
certain
cell block's
things
not heated.
Nobody should have to work in conditions.
No, so,
Alright, so we're good to go? Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Perfect.
Motion to adjourn?
When are we gonna meet again?
Right.
Ah, come on.
Slow
I
your
tried.
roll
I
there,
tried.
Bobby.
Come on.
Well, we got
down.
things in motion here, like money,
Yeah, we
Thing
have,
is,
You're
we
the
have
schedule, yeah.
stuff going on, so, I don't know. It won't take us long to get the figures. We could do figures by email if we didn't wanna meet.
once you get the figures, that, then we can,
Yeah, why don't, CJ and I will work on it and we'll, put something together and let you guys know when we're gonna meet.
Alright, and then I'll work with Kim and David and we'll get those hard numbers down. We can even talk about it Monday night at the meeting if you want, or not.
We have a pretty full schedule to do. Then we gotta do our warrant articles.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we need another meeting, actually.
Yeah, we probably should have done that another night, because that's long.
That was on first, and then everything else is kind of
Why do
been
you
just tacking
change
on,
it and
tacking
make
on.
it till Tuesday? Yeah, I think we do Excel, that's the only.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not this Monday.
Oh, okay.
This Monday's just Excel.
Oh, all right.
The following
All
Monday
right, that's
is
right. I
the, is
think-
the
Packed, I mean,
7th, but it's a full meeting, right?
No, I mean, if we just go over numbers after the meeting, if we have 5 minutes, then that
Okay.
should be fine.
That's fine.
Alright,
Before we do close, I do wanna bring up one thing.
yep.
If the project is over $10 million construction money, you have to pre-qualify your general contractors and sub-trade contractors. Now, it looks like we're right on the cusp here, we're at 9.7, but if you throw in those alternates, it puts you over that number. Our recommendation here would be to pre-qualify, because if you do have the bid come back in and they're all over that 10 million, the state will make you go back out and do it again. Because we're right close to that cusp, I would recommend it. It's a process that we would handle with CGA. It's not the funnest process, but we handle it. And it also lets you know who's gonna be bidding on the project. So you probably get like 12 GC bidders, okay, they all pre-qualified. There's a certain requirements that go out that the state has put together that they have to meet those pre-qualified positions. So, we're gonna talk about it again, but it's probably something I think would be good to do on this project.
You want us to vote on that, or you
Sure.
want a general consensus?
Yeah,
Want to make a motion?
all the contractors nowadays are used to the process, so.
Is there any additional cost?
Not
Pre-qualified?
No.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then so, I mean, as soon as town meeting is over, I think that's when we start to go full force with informational meetings.
Right.
Okay. All right, on our roll then. I'm good. Everybody good? You want to make a motion now?
I'll remake a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.